What's going on, all my Reignmakers PGA Tour fans? And, well, yes, NFL, as we've got a slate to talk about this week, and also a really good UFC event going on. And I'm the host of the Reignmakers Report. I am Jason Roslin. Find me on Twitter at DFSGolfer23. And, well, I am joined by my co-host and buddy Byron at the Monomaniac on Twitter. And, well, we were just discussing a little bit before the show that we're coming off a little bit of a heartbreak for you last week. Patrick Cantlay was right there late on Sunday, and he just threw the ball in the water. A left miss late. That seems to be a little bit of a problem, Byron. I know it cost you a little bit of cheddar.
It did. It's okay. You know, I hit an Adam Schenk top 10 at 8-1, so we'll take a little bit of love there, which is always good. But, you know, it could have been a really good week. But, you know, it is what it is. The guy was, fourth or fifth in strokes gained off the tee this week and decides that's how he's going to end his chances. So,
yep,
you know, it's just how it goes. Unfortunately, you can't play for these guys. And, I mean, I wouldn't be able to play better than them anyway. So what can I say?
So in terms of Reignmakers, I actually had a pretty decent week without having Glover or Cantlay in my captain. I had a team with Fleetwood in the elite contest. Fleetwood as captain, also had Rory in it, also had Homa in it. It was getting up there pretty close. But instead of Cantlay, it had Morikawa. If it had swapped those two guys alone, I think I come in third also in the FedEx contest. Well, I decided to switch Rory and Rahm, which is not what my optimizer told me to do here. We're going to preview what I just said here a little bit later in the show. But had I had left that alone and put Rory in the captain spot, I would have come in the top 10 of that FedEx contest. But listen, got another chance at that this week, and we will certainly go over that. So before we get into the slate breakdown of the BMW Championship, which has got, oh man, good hefty prize pool, just over $500,000 in total prizing for the week. Pretty solid. We're going to just go over everything else going on in the Reignmakers space this week. For our weekly schedule, first I just mentioned the BMW Championship. $350K is the normal amount that is going to broken out. $3K at first to core, $5 at the rare, and then $10,000 from elite to Reignmaker. Now again, Byron, I feel like a broken record, but listen, there's only 50 golfers. There's no reason why at least Reignmaker shouldn't be $20K to first at this point.
Yeah. You know, but like we said, beggars can't be choosers. It's first season of the thing. We're going to make our points known, and hopefully they can adjust for us next year.
Yeah, Masters set, please. It's the perfect time of the year to do it. You're after that first stretch of golf. Anyways, we're not going to go too far down that road right now. We're just going to keep pushing it on the back end. Now, for the playoff set round 2, we got $100K guaranteed contest, $20K to first and $10K to second. Absolutely love those numbers. This is what we want. This is what we're talking about for next year's Masters. Next week, Byron, we get the $50K to first. So it'll be fun to break that down with you. Look at, some different variations of guys that'll make it. Of course, we're going to try and plan our portfolio this week to get all of our golfers, or at least most of them, through next week. Now let's talk about the NFL Reignmakers side, or NFL side, I should say. Preseason slate, you get to win packs or cards. And listen, if you can just make a lineup, you've got a really good chance to cash. I mean, I didn't have any preseason guys that I thought were going to do well, and I think I won 4 or 5 packs. So if you've got the cards, enter them is what I say. Pretty good chances to, again, start building that portfolio if you want to get invested in NFL. And then lastly, UFC, we've got Fight Night 292. Prizes top heavy, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, $10,000, and $15,000 from your core to your Rainmaker. Now, just quickly, we're going to go over a breaking news piece here that we've got in. It's just for the NFL. I want to talk to you about it for one quick second. Both packs, the preseason and the premium, sold out within the first 24 hours. Really surprising to me, Byron. There was maybe a little weird things going on with the preseason pack. But because of that, as long as you were logged into your DK account from 6 to 6:30, you're going to be entered into a 50K 50K week 1. It's week 1 contest. It's a free roll. As long as you were logged into your DK account, sign up through their DK Discord. Hey, free contest. I think first place is $5K. So, hey, pretty good deal there
Yeah.
to try and for a make good. Then you hear about first of all the pack selling out, which is great, and then second maybe a little snafu on DraftKings part.
Hey, like we said, this is still Reignmakers. We're still figuring our stuff out, but
There we go.
they're good at listening. So we'll just hope and wish that they can, just listen to us a little better this time.
Yeah, and I will say they try and make good. Some people don't think that the 50,000 is enough or whatever the case may be, but at least they're trying to make good on things that they may have made fault on. So, all right, now let's go into the slate breakdown here this week. It is the BMW Championship played at Olympia Fields. And Byron, you had a great tweet earlier. Guys, if you're not following me on Twitter, go do so at the Model Maniac. Just showcasing how hard this golf course is. Average score of the 70 golfers that played here in 2020 was +7. Now, Mark Leishman was +30, so this distorts it a little bit. But driving accuracy below 50% and greens in regulation below 60%. I mean, what's going on here this week? This is a major championship level course.
This is some fun stuff on our hands. And the best thing is, it's like these are guys that have played well enough to make it to the second leg of the Tour Championships, right? Or the FedEx playoffs. So it's not just like we got these random John Deere scrubs in here hacking it around. We've got solid golfers that have won tournaments, that have multiple top 10s this year, just hacking it around this golf course. So it's going to be carnage. It's going to be lots of fun. I've heard that there's some rain and torrential downpours in Chicago this week. So potentially nice and lush, thick rough, and we'll see what happens there. But I'm looking forward to it, but it's always fun to see these boys really struggle.
No, it is. It is. And if it does play long and soft, I'm not going to lie to you, there is a guy that is the top projected golfer in the field this week for most models that loves those conditions, that is the best driver of the golf ball in the world, that could have honest to God, could possibly, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, could set up for a little bit of a runaway victory. I mean, we know how close Rory McIlroy has been. If you guys haven't figured out who I'm talking about, that's who it is. We know he loves the conditions. We've seen him run away in the long and soft conditions before. And 12th year or 13th year back in 2020 shows that obviously he can get around the course. So maybe trending towards that direction. But let's go ahead and start talking about that. Tough decisions, of course, with the best players in the world here. Who you want to start with? Rory is number one. Rahm last week followed a bit of his shot trails. Hit some fantastic shots, but off the tee was a struggle. I saw some industry people touting how bad it was for Rahm historically for him. So, Byron, are you just going to write that off? Do you think it's more of a concern than maybe it was led on to be? Or maybe this week with driving accuracy so low anyway, it doesn't matter?
Yeah, and I think when there's so much water off the tee and things like that, it can really distort a few bad drives that can really get out of control for you. I think with his length, with his kind of prowess off the tee, I think he'll be just fine on a course that kind of, would you say it sets up off the tee very similar to Torrey South?
Yeah, it does. It sets up as a long and narrow. And when you mix those two together, it ends up being whoever hits the most fairways, typically out of the longest drivers, ends up winning. Yeah. Now, I do have the stats on greens and regulation and all that from this in 2020 when we had this. And Rahm was around 55% on driving accuracy, 6 or 7% better than the average, and he was also number one in driving distance that week. So that goes to show you kind of the winning formula here. You can see Rahm's prices. He's coming in around $144 on the playoff set. Obviously, one of the most expensive guys, as you would expect. But, I mean, is the bad play still around? I mean, 4 out of the last 10 events, he has given you basically no return from a top-end level.
Yeah, the mantle has been handed over. I think Rory's that guy now. I think that's kind of looking to be in search of that world number one spot. And when Rahm rolls, he rolls it with the driver. Sorry, like that's what's his like biggest domino that falls, and it's just he's struggling to do that right now. And his game just seems a little out of sorts, right? And I don't know how much I trust him, but this course does suit him a lot. Ideally, you'd probably want a little bit more longer irons for Jon Rahm this week too. Then I'd be really excited about it. But for as long of a golf course it is, there's not really that many long irons going into this course. So he's not my number one guy this week. Also, to put that into a bow tie.
Yeah, here's the thing about Rahm as well is when he was moving and grooving at the beginning of the season and felt unbeatable, I went through a time where I was like, man, do we even need to talk about anybody else from a betting perspective? Yeah. Rahm's going to win again. He was number 1 or number 2 in strokes gained on the approach as well. That's not the case anymore. Last week, he gained very marginally, against the best players in the world, obviously. Had a round in there where he lost over a stroke in round 3. So obviously, to me, that's a little bit concerning. Now, do I think that this golf course, long and hard, sets up well for him if he can figure out the driver? Yes, certainly. I still have him in my top 5 projected this week. But I think Rory is clearing away the number 1. Now, my question to you is, Scottie Scheffler still had struggles with the putter last week, but also didn't look as good tee to green as he's looked. He only gained slightly less than a stroke. I mean, that's not Scottie-esque numbers. And he had, again, his second finish in the last, say, 6 events, actually in the last 2 events, where he has not performed to his Scottie Scheffler standard. So bounce back here, or is the difficult course maybe going to get to Scottie again here this week?
Yeah, I think if there's a course that Scottie Scheffler can win on, it's this kind of a venue, right? Because you're going to just tee to green this place to death.
Yep.
Kind of just get to -5, make your 10 birdies in the week and make your 5 bogeys, and then move on. Scottie's not necessarily going to be rolling in a million putts, but if there is someone that probably leads this field in green and regulation rates, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Scottie Scheffler, obviously.
Yeah, now what you're seeing on the screen here, just so everybody knows, is this is the PGA prices and projections tool, where basically we take all of the cards in circulation and predict a price on them and give you a value based on the floor price. However, I did not account, it's very hard to account for specific sets within this. So this is not the true value, obviously, of Scottie Scheffler's playoff cards, which, of course, can help you win $20K to first this week, $50K to first next week, as we mentioned. So I want to talk about Scheffler there. Again, his ball striking was fine, gained over a stroke on average per round. So still there. If we can get the short game to gain half a stroke per round on average, or 2 for the tournament, it's right back to top 5 territory, obviously. But interesting to note that the ball striking stats are coming down, though, as he's playing the best players in the world.
Yep, that is the case. But also, a little bit more water and stuff. You never know what happens. 1 or 2 bad shots, and all of a sudden it's just, you can just lose a lot of them. What is interesting to me is the putting, man. Yes, he didn't necessarily gain last week, but he lost 4.5 in 1 round. And he was playing pretty nicely, right? So if you can just avoid one of those big rounds where he just loses like that, then that I think I saw him on the greens today in Chicago, and he was putting with the spider still. So I think he's going to stick with it. I think he's got more upside with that putter for sure. It might have a few sketchy -4.5 lost rounds, but there's definitely a good chance that he can bounce back.
So let's talk about putter changes real quick as I bring up Rory's prices on the screen. The playoff set, he's coming in around $139 in that rare level. Changed the putters as well, but in my opinion, didn't really need to. But this guy, turning into Dustin Johnson quite a bit. Dustin is notorious for switching putters. I am as well. I mean, it's not like you're teeing it up with me every Saturday here, Byron, but I can tell you in my garage, I've got about 13 different Scottie Cameron options. I'm switching every week. Every time I don't make a putt outside of 10 feet, I'm switching the putter. It seems like Rory is me right now. And it doesn't matter what putter he uses. He's coming in the top 5.
Yeah. And, I think I do like a little salt and pepper thoughts every week before the tournament. And you could see Rory had lost a lot of strokes putting at this venue in the past.
Yep.
And last week he kind of did okay. So if that's anything to go off of, having just had an average to good round on the greens, this week could be very scintillating. I'm looking forward to him a lot, and hopefully he sticks with that putter just 1 more week and we get some good results.
Yeah, I'm smiling because when I first came out of college, I was an assistant golf professional in Maine, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, if I was that guy in the pro shop at Edwin Watts, I think that's where Rory's caddy took his putter, and I'm working on Rory's club. That must be the pinnacle of my golf club making career. Like, that's it. I'm retiring. The last putter grip I changed was Rory McIlroy's, and he went on to win $25 million in the next 3 weeks if he wins this week and wins next week. It's crazy how that might end up happening. Nonetheless, all right, we've talked about kind of our big three. Are you ready to remove any of them from your optimal lineup if you have the chance to play them all?
I am not the top three whisperer, because guess who left Rory McIlroy out of the 2 out of the 3 guys he played at the top of the DFS lineups last week. So that being said, I'll give you my favorite. It's Rory. That's obviously just the situation.
We're
do what you want with the other 2.
Runaway victory, Rory McIlroy. Yep,
that's my answer to your question there.
Okay, fair enough. I will accept it and move on to a couple of other golfers that put themselves into a fabulous position to make a run at the Tour Championship next week. Not saying they're not in play this week, but Patrick Cantlay saw his prices on the playoff set rise from like $45 to now you see a floor of $80. Quite in demand there. I bought in early, got a couple of low serials because I knew, Patrick, this is when he runs. You and I have talked about him all year. He's in that Sam Burns category of PGA Tour events. Hell yeah. Play this guy as much as you can. Major championships, put him in the playoff packs. Put him in the prize pack, whatever's. Just hasn't shown us to do it. So, got another good week this week. Are you going right back to him? You think it's a good 3-week run? We're going to get top 5s every week type of thing?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, he's been driving it so great, dude. And I think I saw he outdrove Rory in distance last week or something like that. Or at least I think Rahm, Scotty, and the whole other gang, that he was almost averaging like 180 miles per hour with the ball speed. So that's some incredible. That's really good golf, for around that kind of a golf course.
Sure.
Just great stuff from Cantlay off the tee, and I think that's going to be another great factor to bear in mind this week. So, as that the next guy out of the top 3, you could argue Cantlay's definitely probably number 1 or put him number 4.
Yeah. Now Rahm got off to a tough start. Another guy that got off to a tough start, but still found his way onto the first page of the leaderboard come Sunday is Viktor Hovland. And here's the guy that on a golf course where driving accuracy is below 50% and greens are below 60%. Byron, I'll take the over on both of those for Viktor Hovland right now, and that probably auto top 10s him this week. Another guy I'm relying on heavily in my Reignmaker lineups.
Love it. I think this course suits him really nicely. The around the green plays got much better, but when you get to these lush cabbage patch type situations around the greens, that's when Viktor really shines, right? Memorial, all these big major tournaments. So give me some Viktor Hovland too.
Well, it's a great point because what happens is that in these events where, like you just mentioned, even a little bit like last week, around the green was not really that difficult. There wasn't that thick of grass in a lot of places. In certain places, there definitely was. Don't get me wrong. But when the grass gets longer, the skill is, it's mitigated quite a bit. And I think that's why you said Viktor really actually excels comparatively to the field around the green in these categories, because he's so bad when it's easy, and when it's hard, he's better than the average. So again, a great point. Memorial is one of those instances where obviously he picked up his last victory. So another guy that basically can compete anywhere right now and is just so close to Tommy Fleetwood. In the optimal setting of my projections this week, Tommy Fleetwood sneaks in over Viktor Hovland. I don't know if I'm going to go with that personally in my main optimal lineup. We'll check that out in a couple of minutes when we look at the optimizers here that I have been working on with the team here at Lucky Trader over the last couple of months. Can't wait to show it to you guys. Really, really excited about it. But, Byron, before we debut that, let's talk about Tommy Fleetwood.
Perennial bridesmaid, eh? He just cannot seem to get it done. This guy he's got a closet full of those ugly bridesmaid dresses.
Yeah, man, just like so many tournaments now too. It's incredible. It really is. That movie, what's it called? Like 28 Dresses or something.
Yes.
It reminds me of that situation
here. Yeah. That's exactly what Tommy Fleetwood is, and it's not bad, if you're going to accept the fact that he's not going to be the guy that wins it for you, but he's going to be part of your optimal lineup. Throw him in there, because if you can get the other 4 guys right, leave him out of your captain spot probably, and then let those other 4 guys do the heavy lifting and get across the finish line for you. But he's so consistent, dude. It's
So
incredible.
good right now. Yeah, he's got that mini driver. I don't know if I talked to you about that or not from TaylorMade that he put in his bag. So it's like the burner bubble. I don't know if you had TaylorMade clubs back in the past, but I started with a burner bubble, and they brought it back in the form of a mini driver, and I saw Fleetwood's got that in his bag. It's like a 13.5 degree that obviously he just takes out and
Launches.
Launches, exactly.
I love his chances on a course like this too for Fleetwood. The lower or harder the course is, the more I like Tommy.
I agree. Another guy that is finding himself always towards the top end of the projection range, but really has been a disappointment for quite a while now. I'm not going to lie to you. Really, not a lot of production is Xander Schauffele. I would much rather go to his California buddy of Max Homa, maybe even Colin Morikawa. But talk to me about Xander State, where you see him right now. His price is around $52 for that playoff set, which it's decent. I'm not going to lie to you, but if I'm going to spend $20 more to get Victor Hovland, I'm doing that every time right now, as Xander just has not got it done.
Yeah, and it's off the tee, right? So maybe that helps him here a little bit, but he's not necessarily the longest guy in the world either. He's just solid. And he just lacks that upside, right? Like, he's a perennial top 20er, but doesn't nearly get inside the top 10 nearly enough for what he's capable of. We've seen him just play great golf, and then he has that one round, a tournament where it just kind of gets him into the top 20 versus inside the top 10. And that's why his price is sitting at a third of what Scotty or Xander's or Rory's is.
Yep. Good points there. Again, not a bad player. I just don't see him playing his top end form right now. Again, that's what we're always looking for in the Reignmakers setting, of course. So, all right. I think that pretty much talks about the top of the board. Now, let's get into a little bit of strategy, and then we will go and bust out the optimizer, and I'll show you guys why I am so excited. If you're making a lot of lineups like me, or even not making a lot of lineups, just the ability to go and do this, have it take 10 seconds, 20 seconds, you guys will see what I'm talking about. But first, Byron, you came to me and you said, well, listen, hey, I have been mainly playing at Rare the whole year, but I came across some leads over my time. But now that we're only 50 golfers left, I only got 2. So I need a third. So we're going to go over a couple of guys that we might like to fill that position. We don't want to spend a ton of money. I'm going to ask you for a budget, number one, and then I'll give you a couple of my options. So first, let's talk about the 2 guys that you do have that are you have in your portfolio right now.
Yeah, I've got Max Homa and Wyndham Clark, who I really like. Max is really starting to come into form. The driver looks like it's really moving along really nicely. I think he led the field in driving last week. So once that starts rolling, I think Max's rest of the game can really start shining, and was right in the mix, man. He had a chance at winning this thing last week and just didn't manage to get over that hump. What, an eagle, a birdie, 2 doubles on the back?
He was super aggressive, obviously. When you get into that spot, we've heard all these guys talk about it.
Yeah.
When we got a chance to win, we're taking it. He took it twice and put it in the water on both times.
Yeah, that is what it is. I don't mind that. And when it comes to Max, with my showdown stuff, I do this clutch factor thing where if you've gained over 9 strokes to 3 rounds, let's see what you can get up to on the 4th round, right? Like, when you're in the mix, what do you get up to? And he's been crushing, man. Like, 2 out of 3 times, basically, he absolutely dominates in the round 4. So I love him in contention. I know he usually gets across the line. Just last week was a bit of a stumble.
Yep. Still, again, was right there, was part of an optimal setting or very close to it in the Reignmaker side. So, again, provided a very, very healthy return. So, great call on Max. Homa, Wyndham Clark. He was actually going to be a guy that I wanted to talk about as a bounce back. Last week, you and I both said par 70, tight fairways, not a lot of room, but club down, you're taking about probably the best attribute of his game out of it. His iron play can get erratic. That means water comes into play. It all came to fruition, but on Sunday, he drew us back in and said, hey, listen, I'm still a pretty good golfer. Threw up, what was it, a nice 67, 66, somewhere in that range. And now we get to a course where he's going to take out that driver every time. He's going to hit it wherever the hell he's going to hit it. Who knows where it's going to be. But it doesn't matter because everyone else is missing the fairway. And I think he's firmly back in play this week. So, with that being said, I think we got to go pretty strong with this third guy. I think you've got a pretty good solid setting. Give me a budget.
Yeah, I wanted to say $100, but that's not going to do it for me because I don't think that's going to get us. We got two really solid dudes here. So
My
what?
only this would be my only thing. Tony
Yeah.
Finau. If we can get a bounce back, he's sitting at 79 in that prize set. He's firmly into next week, but I don't know if it's as optimal as you need it to be.
No. If I wanted to go sub 100, I had in the back of my head Benny on. I just think this course suits him like really nicely, and that would be a very cheap salary saver. Um,
6, yeah,
you
long
know,
around the green,
yeah, like
playing good golf.
so that would be an interesting way to go about it. But then I was thinking maybe taking some of that leftover salary and buying a really like a rare Rory, and just putting him in. Instead of going with a really expensive elite guy, go cheaper for my third dude and just really kind of get Rory in a rare there and put him in that lineup. But I don't know. What would you suggest I do with my situation?
Yeah, so Benny on at 55, I think I would rather go to Taylor Moore just because we are guaranteed to get Taylor Moore next week. He's number 14 in the FedEx ranking. There's no way that he can be passed. Plus, he's shown the ability to play at difficult golf courses. So if we were going cheap, I think I personally would go Taylor Moore. I would take that say $55 of savings, sell the good rare card that I was going to, and buy a Rory rare card if I needed more money. If the $55 got me a Rory rare, well, let's just look at that.
I think it's pretty close.
Yeah, we can tell you that here with
Yeah.
our tools at Lucky Trader pretty quickly. We just got to reset our filter. Press Rory. We're going to go to rare and find not Sabatini. 38.75, not 17. 38.75. Again, right in your kind of budget. Interesting. Like it. If you're going to go the savings route, if you're looking at maximize for this week, I can understand the Benny on play if you're going to go the savings. If you want to maximize for utility and get 2-week run out of this, Taylor Moore is a pretty good option coming in. Again, playing pretty good golf. I think Fagala is the only other name that I wanted to throw out at you because he played good last week, kind of busted out of a little bit of a slump, if you will. And he is very good around the green or streaky. So he comes in at $52, sits right at number 31. So he needs a good week to get into next week. Maybe a little bit more of a gamble again towards the Benny on side.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay though. I think Benny on's 38th, so he's sitting 31st. So got a bit of a better chance of making it in there, especially with some guys like Seamus in front of him. But Sahith, dude, it's just like, he's so weird. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does well outside of just.
That's the problem. He doesn't really do anything well.
Yeah, he putts well, I guess, but
I think he's honestly what it is he's streaky in every single part of his game.
Yeah,
and on any day he can have none of it. That's the issue. And on one day he can only have one thing, and on the days that you get two things or three, if it's a Sunday and he's put himself within 5 or 6 of the leaderboard, that's the thing. This guy can get there because he's got that high-end ceiling in every single statistic, off the tee approach, around the green and putting. That's what I like about him. But at the same time, that comes with more volatility, right? I mean, we know that. So interesting play, especially on a hard course this week. I'm excited to see how he does it. Again, I'm interested for him as a guy that can go on a 2-week run and give you some return. So.
Yeah, because I need him to, because he and Cam Young are my two guys that I'm the most overinvested in this like range, right? So gonna need them both to get it together. I think they're both sitting right on this little scary bubble over here. So Cam
Young, another guy that kind of just really didn't do much last week for us. Kind of had it going, then kind of lost it, got it back, and just he hasn't lived up to what I thought his hype was going to be this year. I thought he'd take that next step. So, all right, speaking of taking the next step, Byron, this is it. This is the next step in the Reignmakers game, the optimizer. And we're going to start off with PGA. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to have a full breakdown and launch of this product coming up on Wednesday. where users will be able to get a free month to come out and try this product. That means you're going to get a couple weeks of PGA, a couple weeks of NFL preseason, and then, of course, leading up to week 1. So hopefully you guys all love the product as much as I do. I've been working with the guys over at Lucky Trader for the last couple of months in developing this product, and it's just to see it come to fruition is really, really exciting for me. So this is our front page, a cool user interface. You are able to punch in your DK username. A little bit of a sneaky thing too is you're going to have to watch some of my content, Byron, over the coming days to learn some tricks and trades of this thing. Because what you can do for planning and preparing using this tool, people are going to love it. So we'll save that for the coming days.
Beautiful. I
So
like a little tease. Always like a good tease.
So here we go. This is as you load up. The really cool part about this is, as you guys can see in the middle here, this is your entire collection. This is for PGA Tour, as I just mentioned. This is what we're going to model here tonight. This is it. This is my entire collection. You can see my screen name based up there. And of course, all of these are fully sortable and filterable if you want to go check a certain player or whatnot. But I, of course, as most people always do, will sort by projected points. As you can see, I have Rory McIlroy as the projected top player this week. Really cool feature I'll start off with right away. If you're like, Jason, I don't know how you do your projections. I don't really care. I want to use establish the runs, or I want to use whomever's right here, this upload projection button. You guys will know this template, this formula pretty easy. We're going to download the projection template. It's going to come up. We're going to bring it up in Excel. We're going to change the projections. And then we're just going to drop that file right back here by selecting it and going on. So just wanted to model that there for everybody. Now that we've loaded in our projections, we're going to go over here and build off some lineups. So we know for PGA, the actual edition year doesn't matter right now. Of course, next year when we get 2024 cards, they certainly will. But we had to put that function in there, of course, for NFL, because NFL, we're going to get both 2022 and 2023 cards to be used. We're going to select the tier. I'm going to start off at Legendary. Reason is because I don't have any Reignmakers cards left. We're kind of talking about it for you for Elite this week. You needed one. Well, both my Reignmaker cards were eliminated way before. Doug Kim, Ryan Armour, no chance. But I do have a good set of Legendary cards, so I just want to show you guys kind of how that comes out. So we go and now pick our contest. These are the contest options available for this week. Really good and cool function. Now, again, you have to go step by step here for the optimizer to actually work. So for this, we're going to allow it to pick any set. And, of course, for the edition tiers, we know that at the Legendary tier, we can only play Legendary in Elite cards, as well as Reignmaker. But as I mentioned, I don't have any Reignmaker cards available. And I know just based off of my lineup, I can only make about 4 or 5 Legendary lineups. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to press our Generate Lineups, and boom, there we go. That was pretty darn quick. We love that. And this is how it comes out. As you can see, a pretty good 410.95 is my top projected lineup. I got
Benny on. Yay.
There's Benny on right there. We just talked about it. Pair him up with Rory, Tommy, and Rahm. That looks like a pretty sexy lineup. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tag these lineups called Legendary, or whatever you want to name them. Save the lineups. It's going to bring us to our final screen here where we press download lineups button. And here's the really cool part. As you can see, I got a bunch of downloads. But what this does is this spits out a CSV that I would have to change let me just change the view really quick here. Well, actually, no, I don't want to change the view because I really like this one right here. But how it spits out is it spits out the contest that you've selected. It has the ID, and then it has the 5 players to the right, which you copy and paste that information onto your bulk entry template lineup and upload it. Simple and easy. That final step, of course, you need to use, the key here is you need to use that bulk entry template. That's how DraftKings is allowing for this type of function to be going. So now let's just say that you're like, yeah, you know what? I don't want these lineups. I don't want those cards being used in Elite. I want to start over because I want to see how good my Elite lineups are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Delete Lineups, go back and click the My Portfolio tab. So I'm going to start over, and I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to go to Elite. I know that Elite, we can get a 100K. We're going to go to the 100K guarantee, 10K first. I'm going to click the Elite and Rare tiers because I don't want to mix my Legendary cards in here. And I'm going to do 2 lineups just to see if I get a better projected lineup. I do, in fact, get a better projected lineup. It's 432.93. I can use Rory. I got Cantlay now in because I don't have a Cantlay Elite card. I get Scheffler in because I don't have a Scheffler Elite card. So as you can see, it's a situation where it's like, all right, maybe I'd rather have this dispersion here instead of my Legendary. But I have one more thing I wanted to go over before I talk to you and just get your quick opinions on it. I'm not going to save these ones because the last and most important feature of the PGA Opto, and which we'll have for NFL, of course, too, is the ability to sort out by set. And as everybody knows, as we've talked about so much this week, there is the gated sets for the FedEx playoffs for the playoff set. So what you can do here is you come and select that contest. You select just the playoff set here. I know I have a rare and elite. I don't have any legendary cards available for that set. And what now I'm going to have it do is I'm going to have it make 10 lineups because I know I can make somewhere around 10 to 15 just by my set. And boom, there we go. Perfectly optimized lineups specifically for this contest. What I would do here is I would do the playoff set contest so that I know that that's my tag. And I'm going to save these lineups. So really cool feature. So the last part that I really want to show you that I'm excited about here is, as you know, I've made my playoff lineups, right? We just saved them. Got some pretty good ones. Well, now when I come back and I make my elite tier lineups, now let's just say I want to make 10 here today. As you can see, you need to fill out all of the things in the optimizer to make it work. So the thing that I didn't do is I didn't select the tiers that I want to be used in this contest. So I'm going to generate 10. The nice thing in this is, as you can see, those Rory McIlroy cards that I used for that playoff set, it's gone. They will not be in this lineup. So it's optimized based on portfolio that you have. And as you can see, I'll demonstrate how you can see that is we're going to save these lineups because we love them. I'm going to go back to my portfolio. And as you can see here, we have a used in lineup function. So you can see all of the cards that you've already used in your lineups. It's great.
So sick.
I can't tell you how much I love it. So I know that you've toyed around with this a little bit, Byron.
Yeah.
Tell me just your initial quick thoughts on the product, the interface, and how much time you think it'll end up saving you.
I think on a normal week, I get about 30 to 40 lineups in my contest, dude. So having to click those through, it takes about a minute per lineup to click, and you got to go scroll down the thing, figure out, find your guys.
Yep.
It's going to save you, 40 minutes of your time 4 times a month worth, right? And then you're going to have this for NFL as well now. So it's really, really useful. I think it's the efficiency savings is more than enough. And you get to upload or use your projections. Your projections are in there. I can put mine in there if I want, 100%. So that's really ideal. And then the fact that it's not like you have to build the perfect optimizer because you've used certain cards already. Like it's going to let you know that those are in, and I like that too. Also the different pricing, and dude, this is like top tier stuff. I really, really think this is great, and it's just so solid. So yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that a lot. We are super excited about it. Not gonna lie, for NFL.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just to tell you, so you were right. Just about between 45 seconds to a minute is what it will take you to build an optimized lineup for PGA. Think about it for deep roster NFL. 9 players, all optimized based off of a stacking, and that's going to take you 3-4 minutes to make each one of those lineups. Not using our optimizer, it'll take you 5 seconds. You'll have every option you want to do, stacking, uploading custom projections, all of that stuff for all 3 slate types, Showdown, Classic, and of course deep roster. As well as, of course, PGA. And lastly, we are working on UFC for those players that do play UFC. It is coming, but I'm not going to lie to everybody. It's a little bit down our totem pole, if you will, with NFL. Of course, NFL season coming up in just about a month. So, Byron, thanks so much for your time tonight. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys got some good tidbits on what you do in specific portfolio situations. Of course, take a look at some of our targets for this week and a little preview of the optimizer. So, Byron, is before we leave, the last thing we'll say, is it a Rory runaway this week? Because that's where I'm putting my eggs, and it sounds like maybe you are too.
People on Twitter coming after me after I posted my outright this morning saying, is Rory really going to win if it's in single digits? So my thought is, no, he's not going to win if it's in single digits and everyone else is. He's going to be in double digits under par this week, and everyone else is going to be in the dust, -5, -4. They can hang around close to par. Rory's going to go deep this week. Let's go.
Let's do it. I love it. Well, we'll see you next week for the Tour Championship. Everybody, good luck this week at the BMW Championship, and we will see you on the other side. Cheers.